Alright, hey guys, Paxter, welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket video. As the title states, we'll be going over Meowscarada EX. This guy came out a couple months ago and continues to dominate the meta. Definitely my favorite grass-type deck, and gets a ton of value in this meta, especially if you hate Igglybuff, Darkrai, as well as Darkness-type decks. Meowscarada EX is for you. This guy can perform miracles. But yeah, this is a deck that's right here. I'll show it yet again towards the end of the video. A ton of fun with a lot of sustainability. But yeah, this is your first video on my channel. I really do appreciate if you like and subscribe. It really does help me out, especially as a small-time content creator. And without further ado, let's get right into the deck showcase. All right, here we are in top 5,000 rank. We are going first. Hand can definitely be a lot better. If you can get Meowscarada out next turn, we can dominate my opponent. Not looking too good, but I believe. So let's lead like this. Hopefully next turn we can get Meowscarada EX out, because this deck dominates against Darkness type. Meowscarada EX is able to 2-hit KO Mega Absol EX, so opponents leading with Zoroark, Bombirdier in the bench, Darkrai as well. Copycat, please go crazy. So yeah, not looking too good, but once again, if you can get Meowscarada out, this will be amazing. Opponent feeds Zoroark, also Rocky Helmets. Next turn, this guy's doing at least 80 damage. You got Professor. At this point, I'm just gonna Copycat just to boost my luck. This will be amazing if you can also get Ogerpon setting up for late game. Got Rare Candy, Cyrus, and just like that, Meowscarada is out. So now we can just do this. Get this guy out. We got Cyrus as well, so it should be GG in a couple turns. This is why I love this card. So Flower Trick is amazing, just in case you guys don't know. Choose a spot from among your opponent's active spot and bench. At the end of your opponent's next turn, do 70 damage to the Pokemon in the spot you choose. In other words, an amazing way to bypass healing cards such as Lucky Ice Pop. If you hate Lucky Ice Pop with a passion, this EX is definitely for you. So just like this, Flower Trick, targeting Zoroark. Opponent plays Mega Absol. Giant Capes this guy as well. As long as Meowscarada stays alive in the active, it should be GG. So feeding Darkrai, this turn doing 110. Next turn, not able to attack. So just like this, pretty scary. Very low, but at the same time, my opponent really can't do much. So feed, Solar Beam, able to bypass Lucky Ice Pop. Solar Beam, taking out Zoroark. Very scary. This guy is getting very low, but next turn, this guy is only really able to do either 20 or 30 damage. So Meowscarada should be able to survive. At this point, it'll be amazing if we can get something for healing, or if anything, the non-EX Meowscarada. Opponent does place Roaring Moon, essentially acting as a Sabrina just to kind of delay for a bit. At this point, we might as well be super aggressive, so subbing to Meowscarada. And this is amazing. Looking at this scenario, it looks very difficult to win, but we can Flower Trick yet again, targeting Bombirdier, because at this point, we only need one more point. So just like this, target Bombirdier. This will make it so my opponent has to sub out of Mega Absol. They have to sub out of Mega Absol so that I don't get the free point at the end of their turn. Either that or Giant Cape Bombirdier. They feed Darkrai. And Sabrina. Okay, concedes, just like that. So you see how this deck works. You're essentially playing chess while your opponent is playing checkers. That's how it kind of feels. Flower Trick goes crazy. All right, next battle, going second. Since we are going second, we could utilize Cry for Help. Opponent's using Flygon EX. So this might get very rough, but at the same time, we are going second, giving us an energy advantage. All opponent does is Rocky Helmet. I'm actually going to Professor's Research. All we need now is a Rare Candy. We don't get a Rare Candy, but we can definitely chill with this. If anything, next turn, I might, depending on the scenario, I might Copycat. But just like this, Cry for Help. Giving us a Meowscarada. Perfect. This is amazing for later. Opponent plays Mesagoza. Also, Rare Candies. Flygon EX is out. This guy's absolutely annoying with the ability. Gets Tails on Mesagoza. Perfect. Feeds. Ends their turn. Just doing passive chip damage onto the active and bench. Mesagoza getting Tails. Pretty rough. Evolve into Floragato. Leaf Cape. At this point, I'll hold off on Copycatting. Next turn, we can get Meowscarada EX out and running. Feeds Pikachu in the bench and attack. If my opponent doesn't heal up in 2 turns, we should be able to take out this Flygon. Okay, looking at my opponent's energy, this is pretty scary. Flygon EX can attack next turn. They do get heads. Places a Trap Inch in the bench, ends their turn. Here we go. We got Lucky Ice Pop. This is perfect because we have to heal up. Please go crazy, man. Or not. Okay, just healing up 20. Not ideal. Mesagoza. Getting Tails. That's rough yet again. Okay, we have to go pretty crazy at this point. So I'm just gonna evolve into Meowscarada EX. Copycat. Please give me Meowscarada and Rare Candy. Okay, didn't get it, but we can definitely still work with this. Still a bit of hope. 9 cards left. Feed the one on the bench. Flower Trick. Running out of time, but should work. There we go. Yeah, this is not looking too good. So Flygon is very annoying. Next turn, Meowscarada will get knocked out. The rare candy's into a second copy of Flygon. Pretty scary, but if he can get out non-EX Meowscarada, we should be able to sweep. Yeah, rest in peace Meowscarada, but here we go. It ultimately comes down to this turn. That's basically Pocket in a nutshell. I feel like it all comes down to one turn. I can either win or lose right now. And it's up to Sprigatito. Or Professor, okay. Also, might as well just Mesagoza to thin my deck. Still getting tails. 3 tails in a row, you'll have to see that. Actually 4, including the Lucky Ice Pop. That's all that matters. Give me a rare candy. Perfect! Okay, this is 2 rare candies. This is huge. So we can one-shot Flygon, and my opponent really can't do anything. The main issue with Flygon is that it does take a while to build up. It's going to take him 2 turns until it can attack. So, yes, at this point, don't feed Meowscarada just in case because of Ogerpon. And do 130. Just like that. And in 2 turns, I should be able to win. Got Cyrus as well, just in case they have to retreat. They Rocky Helmet. We need some healing items. But at the same time, they fed Flygon, so it should be good. If I were them, I would feed Ogerpon, but the main issue is that they had to retreat out of Flygon eventually. Friggin' Force, I probably should have Mesagoza, but it should work out. At this point, I could place Ogerpon just for fun. Doesn't really matter. I feel the safer choice is not to place it down, but it doesn't matter in the long run. I can retreat if they do Cyrus next turn. So yeah, once again, attacking. And my opponent really can't do much. They have 7 cards left. They discarded 1 of their professors. Yep, GG. Gosh, dude, what an intense battle. So far, the battles have been very intense, but you see how this deck works. Again, it requires a bit of RNG. You need a very good, strong start. I feel like running this is very similar to Hydreigon, in a sense that, yeah, you want to get Hydreigon out as fast as possible. Going first, ideally your second turn. Same thing with the Meowscaradas. Meowscarada EX dominates the whole board, whereas non-EX Meowscarada does a ton of damage onto your opponent's active EX. Keep in mind, Flower Trick paired with Fighting Claws. Against any EX, you are doing 200 damage. So yeah, able to one-shot a lot of Megas, such as Mega Altaria, Mega Lucario, Mega Absol, of course. Alright, next battle, going second. Opponent's leading with Comfy. Not good for my opponent. Ideally, for this card, you don't want to lead with him, especially going first. So unless they have Peculiar Plaza, they might be in a very rough spot. Our opponent places down Meloetta, Ralts, also Copycats. At this point, Leaf Cape, Professor's Research. Once again, if you can get Rare Candy, this will be huge. Professor, Ogerpon, not too bad. At this point, I'm going to hold off on placing Ogerpon just in case my opponent decides to Sabrina. So just cry for help, just like this. Hopefully I can get Floragato, if anything. Okay, just in case. So if we aren't able to evolve via Rare Candy, we do have Floragato. Opponent feeds routes, Rare Candies. Mega Gardevoir EX is out. Could attack, especially if they have Peculiar Plaza next turn. Rare Candy, not looking too good, but we can definitely work with this for now. Evolve into Floragato to do a bit of damage. Beat Ogerpon just in case, setting up for late game. Might as well Leaf Cape Ogerpon and attack. This is all we could do. Very unfortunate. If Floragato does survive next turn, we can get Meowscarada out. They do Professor, so it gives them a high chance to pull Peculiar Plaza. Damn, they fed Comfy and end their turn. This guy's pretty much the non-EX version of Teal Mask Ogerpon, but specifically for Psychic. Just like this, Meowscarada is out. At this point, I might as well Copycat just get a bit of value. Lucky Ice Pops are nice to have, but ultimately, I do want more cards. Hopefully, we can get non-EX Meowscarada out and running. Perfect. This is actually the best hand we could get. All we need now is Cyrus, and it's basically GG. So, get this guy out, feed Meowscarada, and then set up to target this Gardevoir. Attack to active just like this. So once again, Flower Trick combined with Fighting Claws will be doing 200. Not able to one-shot Gardevoir, but doing a ton of damage nevertheless. Okay, opponent attacks with Gardevoir. It should be GG. Like, look at this, man. Yeah, taking 70 damage, just like that. Again, very awkward. This guy's going to be surviving with 10 HP. But look at this. So, first of all, Lucky Ice Pop. At this point, I might as well, instead of Erica, Copycat. It's getting a ton of value. I should have all my cards drawn by this point after using it. So, just, yeah, Lucky Ice Pop. Just like this, Gardevoir can't one-shot. Might as well Friggin' Forest. Copycat getting all the cards that we need. At this point, might as well Lucky Ice Pop one more time just in case. Retreat out of Meowscarada. And attack with this guy. Yeah, so it should be over by my next turn. So, yeah, you see how fast-paced this deck can be. opponent has 5 cards left. I have no cards. So once again, thank you to the professors and copycats. Huge W. Just like this, Gardevoir is super low. But I should be able to win if they aren't able to heal up over 130. Concedes. Yeah. Just like that. I'm gonna do a couple more battles. Hopefully we can go up against an Igglybuff Darkrai deck, because I feel like this deck does counter Igglybuff Darkrai, especially if you can get a very strong start. All right, next battle. So far I haven't lost yet. Leading with Ogerpon, I feel like this is the worst case scenario to have, is to lead with Ogerpon. Opponents using Jirachi. It's been 4 battles so far. I've gone up against 2 different Psychic decks, and I have yet to see Igglybuff Darkrai. It's kind of crazy. I feel like earlier in the season, I was just bombarded by Igglybuff Darkrai's. Just one battle after another, just going up against them. It was a really painful time in the game's lifespan. But nowadays, I don't really see them. Your mileage may vary. You might be going up against just a whole army of Igglybuffs, but for me, not really. Not so much for the past few days. Opponent feeds Jirachi, targets Sprigatito. Makes sense. Doesn't really matter too much since we do have Erica. Might save Erica for next turn though. Again, pretty awkward going first. This would be amazing if you did lead with Sprigatito, but given RNG, things like this definitely happen. At this point, just feed Ogerpon and end our turn. I'll save Erica for next turn just to maximize the healing. Opponent places another Pumpkaboo down. Copycats. Opponent feeds Swablu. Okay. This is where it gets rather interesting. So first of all, subbing into Meowscarada. I'm gonna heal this guy up, making it so that just in case if my opponent does get out Mega Altaria, they aren't able to one-shot. Flower Trick, target the Swablu. Just make sure they aren't able to get out Mega Altaria. Everyone else is rather manageable. I mean, Pumpkaboo, Gourgeist does 70 damage, 80 with Trading Area. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, especially since we do have 2 more Lucky Ice Pops in our deck. Okay, Mega Altaria is out. Not looking too good. Meowscarada is on the brink of death. Jirachi takes the hit. Rest in peace, Jirachi. Taking a literal C4 to the face. Okay, at this point, Copycat. Kind of have to. This will be amazing if we can get another Sprigatito, as well as preferably Nani-X Meowscarada. So we did get Sprigatito, okay. Not too bad. Also Lucky Ice Pop. So we could Lucky Ice Pop our way to victory. I'm going to do a Hail Mary moment right here. Taking a huge risk. But okay, first of all, might as well just keep on Lucky Ice Pop. I can probably save it for Ogerpon, but there's a chance I could heal up to over 110 or even 130. The issue is that I did waste a bit of time, so okay, it's gone. Yeah, that's pretty rough. So I'm just gonna do this. This could be insane. You see the vision right here. This is very risky. Sometimes you have to take risks in rank. So as I mentioned before, Flower Trick plus Nani-X Meowscarada's attack does 200. Able to one-shot Altaria unless they Giant Cape. So they Professor as well. I have a lot of cards. I have 8. I have a Copycat as well. Swablu. Swablu in the bench. Altaria attacks. Here we go. We are in the end game right here. Sprigatito in the active. Altaria taking 70, just like that. Not able to heal up. Again, once again, using Lucky Ice Pop and stuff like that. Leaf Cape. Don't evolve into Floragato. Copycat. Here we go. I'm drawing 5 cards out of my 7. So there's a very high chance that I'm able to evolve into Nani-X Meowscarada. If not, I might be screwed. Crap. Okay. 3 cards left. This might be it. I'll be honest. It's not over, but it's looking very grim. For one thing, friggin' forced us to remove the trading area. There's still hope. We can still win out of the bullshit that is Lucky Ice Pop, but it depends really. Okay, so just do that. Feed this guy. Lucky Ice Pop. Only one time? One time's all we got? Okay. That's all we could do. That's rough. But you saw the vision right there. If I was able to evolve, I could have just one-shot Altaria and won the game. Ultimately, RNG wasn't on my side. Yeah, that's rough. It should be GG unless my opponent's last card. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, it's GG. Damn. That is rough. So you see the main flaw of this deck, as I mentioned before, you need a strong start. If you aren't able to get that strong start or get out both Meowscarada EX and Nani-X Meowscarada as fast as possible, you are going to struggle. But at the same time, you should be able to get them out. fairly fast and easily, especially with the 2 Copycats and Professor. But ultimately, again, this game is essentially a very complex version of rock, paper, scissors with a bit of coin flips added on top. So yeah, if you can't get the proper setup, you will ultimately lose, of course. Alright, last battle, going second. Once again, leading with Ogerpon. But this is much better than going first. Opponent is leading with Dino. Very scary. This might be a very fast battle. But we do have Leaf Cape, so Ogerpon could survive at least one turn against Hydreigon. Places Bombardier, Rocky Helmets, ends their turn. Very straightforward, just Friggin' Forest. Once again, if you guys haven't noticed already, this deck has no Pokeballs. You're essentially relying on Friggin' Forest because that's all you really need. Alright, hand could definitely be a lot better, but for now, just Leaf Cape. Next turn, we could potentially evolve into Meowscarada. If anything, evolve into Floragato. So yeah, this is all we could really do for now. Might as well double Leaf Cape. It's very scary. I feel like next season you might not want to do this, especially with the prominence of Guzma, if Guzma does come into prominence. But yeah, might as well just double Leaf Cape. I doubt this guy does have Guzma. That's rough. Opponent bricks, not able to get Hydreigon. Subs into Bombardier to do a bit of damage. Look at Ice Pop just to heal up that damage. Or not, because we have Meowscarada. So yeah, first of all, just heal up that damage. It'll be amazing if I can get heads. Perfect. Might as well use it again, just so my opponent can't use Cyrus. Okay, we lose it, but again, we have another Lucky Ice Pop and Erica. Friggin' Forest, getting our last copy of Sprigatito. So just like that, we have all our basics. 17 Meowscarada EX, Flower Trick. At this point, targeting Bombardier. This is smart, because if I do knock out Bombardier and then my opponent can't evolve into Hydreigon, I can knock out Bombardier and then take out Dino. So just like that, I'm gonna do one more battle. This was way too fast, concedes. Yeah. So you see how this deck works. My opponent bricked very hard. I feel very bad for them. Alright, last battle, going second. Once again, leading with Ogerpon. Again, ideally you don't want to lead with this guy, but we are going second. So if anything, that could definitely help us. Ooh, shit. Okay, here we go. To end things off, going up against the sleep meta, the sleep scam meta. The issue here is that Igglybuff will get a bit of damage. Keep in mind, Ogerpon, the ability will only take into effect if there's energy attached. So given this, Ogerpon will be taking 30. Stays asleep, but again, doesn't matter, because look at this. As soon as I feed an energy, he's been cured. Perfect, just like that. At this point, I'm just gonna do this, Leaf Cape as well, and Copycat. Give me something good, please. We got Sprigatito, another Copycat, and Leaf Cape. Not too bad. Just gonna play it like that. Very slow, but again, keep in mind next turn, Igglybuff is only doing 10 damage, whereas of course, Eevee into Espeon only does 40 with training area 50. Leaf Cape one of the Sprigatitos, and end our turn. That's rough. Okay, opponent does Sabrina. I must have this guy in, why not? This could hinder us. Not too good. At this point, they could just feed a Swablu. They only have one card in their hand as well. So, okay. Yeah, Espeon's not able to one-shot, but nevertheless doing a ton of damage onto Sprigatito. Getting heads, but again, doesn't really matter at all. Professor, okay. At this point, Professor. Cyrus. Lucky Ice Pop. Okay, that works. Might as well Lucky Ice Pop. Leading with Sprigatito. Losing it just like that. That's pretty rough. But on the bright side, this guy should be able to survive unless my opponent does place down trading area. So yeah, just cry for help. Generating more cards. This will be amazing if you can get Floragato. At this point, given my RNG, we got Meowscarada, okay. But we need to get a rare candy, please. Yeah, it's not looking good for Sprigatito at all. We got rare candy though. This is where the fun begins. Screw you. Screw you. Here we go. Just playing strictly offensive. Might as well Copycat. This will be amazing if you can now get Donnie X Meowscarada out and running. You got Floragato, so that definitely works. As well as Cyrus. Cyrus comes back yet again. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, at this point, might as well feed just in case. I think the safer choice here is to feed. I'm just gonna feed Ogerpon, Flower Trick, and target the biggest threat here, which is Swablu. Do this. This will make it so yet again my opponent has to either retreat out of Swablu or evolve into Altaria. But even then, we can start dominating. So evolves into Altaria, okay? Not able to attack. They really should have fed Altaria last turn. That's all they do. But we have Cyrus, so we could just keep on dominating Altaria. Erica as well. Okay, if you Erica, Meowscarada will be at 120. Altaria can still one-shot. So I feel like the best thing to do here is to Erica the Ogerpon. Feed Ogerpon. And Flower Trick the active. This will make it so that my opponent won't be able to one-shot with Espeon, as well as not able to sub into Altaria. Ogerpon, keep in mind, next turn, if they do sub into Altaria and attack, this guy will be doing 120, able to one-shot this guy with ease. But doesn't matter, because look at this, man. I'm talking a lot. Again, I'm sorry if I do talk a lot in my videos, but you see how this deck works. It really does get me hyped a lot, so Meowscarada, why not? Again, this guy, to do 120, both actives need to have a combined total of 5 energy. This guy has 3, 4. Altaria has 1. So yeah, it's GG. Yeah. So yeah, a ton of fun. Really does catch your opponent off guard. And yeah, that was the Meowscarada EX deck showcase. That was the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Overall, in this meta, this deck gets a lot of value, especially with the prominence of Darkness type, as well as Igglybuff Darkrai. Once again, just to reiterate, if you hate Igglybuff Darkrai, I would invest in this deck. I know that I'm making this deck showcase towards the end of this ranked season, but next ranked season, if the meta doesn't really shift too much, I can still see this deck being very viable, especially if Igglybuff Darkrai still continues to be very prominent. Once again, this is the deck list right here. I didn't really go up against a Mega Absol, but keep in mind, with Meowscarada as well as type advantage, you're doing 190 in 2 turns. 1.5 turns, kind of, you know? Because of Flower Trick, you're doing 90. Solar Beam, you're doing 100. So, 190. Yeah. Your opponent really can't do much, even with Giant Cape. If they do Giant Cape that Absol for whatever reason. So yeah, personally, this is the most fun deck I've used in a while. Just Flower Trick. I just love the gimmick of Flower Trick, especially if you target one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. It kind of feels like you're checking your opponent, you know? Like in chess, like you would Flower Trick your opponent's, let's say, Mega EX in their bench. If they don't retreat, you get a ton of value or even win the game. So they have to kind of pivot towards that, move their king somewhere else, kind of like that. I would rate this deck hands down S tier. Again, in this meta specifically, with the prominence of a lot of sleep scams and Darkness type, you're gonna get a lot of value. Next month, if the meta doesn't shift too much, once again, I can see this deck being very meta relevant. But yeah, it's a video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Once again, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help me out tremendously, both mentally and physically, as I always say. And yeah, that's the end of the video, and I'll see you guys on my next one. Peace.